Hey ho, YouTube! Wir sind jetzt hier bei Crosscut zu Gast, haben hier Charlie Adlard neben uns sitzen, der kein Wort von dem versteht, was ich gerade sage. Und wir haben jetzt noch ein paar Fragen, die wir jetzt an ihn richten werden. Ich fange jetzt einfach mal an, mit meinem super perfekten Englisch zu reden.
Okay,
how are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Yes.
My name is André, this is Sinus, and we are hook fans of your work on Walking Dead. And this is my English.
Alright,
That's English. Thank you for having us today. First of all, I want to apologize for my pure English. Okay, for his pure English, not for my... I'm a little nervous, he is a little nervous because I'm not used to talking in English, but okay, das können wir...
Machen wir die erste Frage an.
First question
you're a little nervous about speaking English not being in the presence of a superstar like myself.
Okay. I hope so you can verstehen alles. How much influence do you as an artist have on design of certain characters? Is it up to you what they look like, or does Robert Kirkman's instructions?
No, it's pretty much 50-50.
So a little bit for you, a little bit for him.
And it also depends on which character. I mean, there's been a lot of characters in the book that I've just designed because Robert's just said he's a male, she's a female. That's it. But
make it.
They have tended to be, admittedly, more sort of B-list characters. Things like Michonne, for instance, was an interesting gestation. She, I think Robert's description of Michonne was she's a black woman with wielding a katana, and she's got a hood on, and she has two jawless zombies on chains, and that was pretty much the description. So everything else was sort of left up to me. Negan was another interesting one because it was designed from the original picture that I drew of not Negan, but just a guy with a baseball bat with barbed wire around and a leather jacket. I think it was for a cover, a series of covers depicting the Saviours, and Robert had just given the most basic descriptions. So draw one with an axe, draw one with a machete, draw one with a baseball bat with barbed wire around it. So I drew one with a baseball bat with barbed wire around it, and Robert, when he was looking through the covers, suddenly thought, that could be a good image for our main bad guy. And so from actually the drawing that I drew, Negan was born, and then it was Robert that sort of looked at it and went, oh yeah, we'll have that one. So that was a very, very sort of 50-50 collaboration, a kind of a toing and froing of opinions. So it varies, but generally it is, like I say, bit of me, bit of him.
Also, the characters changed the design in the time he took. Because Michonne on the first issue of Michonne, she is strong. She's mystery. She has two zombies. She know about the world, and now she's a little bit weak. She doesn't know how the new world works, and she's like a pirate wife, I think. In a panel, he looks like a pirate wife. When he comes from the sea, yes, you know.
Yeah, well, that's true. She seemed to find her. Well, I think she was running away from stuff by going to sea.
Yes,
but she's definitely one of the most interesting characters in terms of how she's decided to cope with the life of. She seemed more at home with the simple life of just wandering around with a pair of zombies. But there again, she really wants a kind of a return back to normality. It was her that knocked Rick on the head when he went a bit loopy in Alexandria. It was her that wanted to stop Rick from going completely crazy. So she's full of contradictions.
Yes, I think. How is working for Image Comics different compared to working for the big two, named Marvel or DC?
Oh, it's infinitely different because, well, Image, for starters, Image are all about the creators. Image are all about creator-owned properties. There's not one single comic book.
More freedom.
There's not one single comic book that Image does that Image actually own the characters.
Yes.
We all own our own characters, which is obviously the preferred situation. Obviously you work for Marvel or DC, unless you're big enough to say work for Icon at Marvel or the equivalent of TC. Can't think what that might be, but Vertigo, I don't know. But even with those titles, Marvel and DC will take a percentage in the actual ownership of the character, whereas Image do not take a single percentage in that. So Robert and I literally share 50-50 the profits of The Walking Dead. So
it's a relationship, yes.
It's but not just that. It's just the freedom it gives you to be able to do what you want. And in the end, the best creative things that emerge, whether it's comics, books, films, painting, whatever, is when the artists are left to do their own thing, to do what they want to do. That's when the best stuff emerges, not when somebody's telling you they think it might be a good idea to do this because the public might want to see something like this. The worst mistake in the world is to try and do something for the public, because it never works.
Yes.
So the most successful things creatively and probably arguably commercially are the ones where it's creator driven. And that's what Image cultivates.
That's what I like. That's what I really like. Du kommst soweit?
Ich komme mit, aber ich kann nicht mitreden.
Ja, mit den Antworten aber so ein bisschen,
Ja.
weißt du was? Okay. The next question is, what can you tell us about the new project for Passenger? For us, a new project for you?
For me, it's very, very, very old. Well, I've got personally, Robert, are you listening to this? I've personally got 45 finished pages.
I hope you see this.
Well, no, Robert knows I've got 45 finished pages sat in my cupboard. I'm just still waiting for the end, literally.
Okay.
The problem with The Passenger is I don't think either of us realised how busy we would get, especially Robert. Because originally this was going to be a yearly thing, believe it or not, that we'd do another project every year.
Yeah.
So obviously that's fallen by the wayside. The other problem is because it's a one-off book as well. I've left the artwork for a very long time. It's fine doing an ongoing because it's just a natural thing to see your artwork evolve with a long form story that just goes from month to month. But when you're going to basically present a single book to the comic reading public, you kind of want it to look stylistically the same all the way through. And since I haven't literally drawn any of Passenger for at least 2 years or something now, it's going to look a bit, my style has changed. So it'll look a bit different to the beginning of the book. There are already pages of Passenger. I'm looking back at page 1 or 2 thinking, I could have drawn that better. I mean, I won't go back. There's not enough time in my life to ever go back and redraw those pages. But, when you're looking at a book that hasn't even come out yet and you're unhappy with the first,
Okay.
It's not good. You never know. It might get finished one day. So...
Okay. One question is one of my favorites, and zwar, das war jetzt nicht Englisch, ist egal. What is your personal favorite moment within the Walking Dead storyline?
I don't really have a personal favourite moment. Actually, yes, I do. I do have a favourite, and it's very recent actually, because my usual answer is, I prefer the character moments rather than the action or the horror or the zombie moments.
Or the best shocking move.
Well, what I was going to say is
Yes.
my favourite moment, because it is a character moment and it's probably some of the best character writing Robert's ever done, is the Negan short story we're doing for.
Okay.
I don't know if you're aware we're doing that. It's for Image Plus, the magazine that gets released in the States.
Yes.
And we're doing it in segments of 4 pages.
A spin-off.
Yeah, the spin-off.
Yeah.
Here is Negan. It's called.
We don't have it in Germany yet.
Yeah.
But, we still try, of course. We're thinking about it, and if it's possible, yes, it will be German, of course.
We don't know about
I'm
the spin-off.
sure. Because there's a minute because Image Plus is.
Please not spoil.
No, I'm not saying because Image Plus, I suppose, is not really a catalogue, but it's a promotional tool.
Yes.
I presume it's something that doesn't get released in any other language other than English because there's kind of no point. But it will get collected. Everything in The Walking Dead gets collected. So, but yeah, the first 4 episodes of Here's Negan are just emotionally wrenching, and it humanises Negan to the extent that you actually sympathise with him from the comic book side, from the actual main story. And I did say to Robert after I'd read the first few episodes of his script, I actually said, "You do realise you've written a Walking Dead version of the first 10 minutes of Up." And he was like, "Ooh, don't think anyone's ever said that to me." I was like, "Well, it is a compliment."
Okay, that's okay. We cannot talk about this, but we know about the spin-off of Negan so much.
Du kannst sagen, was unser Lieblingsmoment ist.
Our Lieblingsmoment.
You can talk about it.
Yeah, because
in America.
It's not a question answer. It's
okay. But I'm giving away spoilers.
Ja, zum Beispiel mit dem Gouverneur.
Ja, Beispiel, ja, genau. Jetzt, ja, genau.
Mach mal gute Listfrage.
So sorry. Okay, what about the TV shows? Do you have any influence and what is going on there?
What is going on there?
You set the stage or me the stage and yes, okay, that's I can recognize from the comic book.
Plenty of stuff I can recognise from the comic book. I mean, I am told time and time again how much an influence the book is visually.
Yes.
Obviously, script-wise, it's obviously influential, but visually, how much it influences the show. So that's very flattering. It almost makes me realise that I am not needed as a conceptual artist or whatever on the show, because the conceptual art is already there in front of them. It's the comic book. But to be honest, I opted not to get involved with the show just because, a couple of reasons. It would involve me obviously moving out to California.
Not a storyboard or something.
Well, the storyboard's already drawn, aren't
Which is
a comic.
Yes.
Yeah.
1-to-1.
Yeah, exactly. So, I also felt that I just didn't want to go over the same ground again. If I was going to do something outside of the comic, I'd rather do something different, another project or something like that, rather than more Walking Dead. So I'm not involved. I've been on set a couple of times. That'll do.
Okay. Okay, the next question is, which 5 comic books have you recently read?
Ooh, what have I recently read?
Or what do you like to read?
The majority of the things I do read are not to toe the company line, but are actually Image comics. I do, not only do I work with Image and Skybound, but I also, am a fan of what they put out. So I really enjoy at the moment. I'm really enjoying Southern Bastards. I think that is a great book. My favourite book from Image is probably Lazarus. I think Lazarus is great.
Why probably?
Sorry?
Why probably?
Why? I just think Greg Rucka, the writer, is just incredible world builder.
Yeah.
I think the world. Have you read Lazarus? Do you know?
No.
I mean, it's a science fiction premise. Is the near future, and instead of governments and royal families and whatever running the world, it's families, business families. So the world has just become controlled by businesses. You know, the richest families have taken over the world and run the world in the way they think is fit. They all have Lazari or whatever, whatever the plural of Lazarus is. Yeah,
I don't know what you mean.
Which are these sort of virtual, indestructible sort of warriors, and it's just a great sort of drama centered around that premise. But I like Craig's writing anyway. But I think this is the strongest thing he's ever done, and the level of research he's put into it is of an Alan Moore sort of level. So it's just fascinating from that point of view. And Michael Larkin draws it. I've always loved his artwork, so it couldn't be a better read. I think it's a fantastic book. But being an artist, I tend to follow artist-driven books more than
that was one of the next questions.
Yeah.
Do you read comic books more than for the drawer or for the writer?
Well, I'm initially attracted by the art, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, the best comic books are 50-50 equal.
Yes.
Like Lazarus, that's why I think Lazarus is so good.
The IC and the brain thing.
Yeah, exactly. But there are certain comic books I do get just because of the artwork. For instance, one of the few the only superhero title I read at them. Oh no, I can read. Well, I've just stopped reading one. But the only regular superhero title I get is Black Widow. Because I love Chris Samney. I think that man's a genius, and he is sort of the new Alex Toth, in my opinion, and that's the highest praise I could possibly give anyone, because Alex Toth is my biggest influence, my favourite artist of all time. So so I'll follow Chris anywhere over a cliff. I really like that. I read a bit of Moon Knight because I really like Greg Smallwood's artwork.
Yes.
Things like that. So I'll pick up the old thing because I just really like the artwork.
Yeah.
But I always come back to image stuff.
And the next question is a personal question. What is your...
Careful.
Yes. Oh, yes. What is your favorite horror movie or TV show? It's not Walking Dead. TV show.
Obviously it's The Walking Dead.
Feels The Walking Dead.
Favorite horror movie?
It's probably... It's not zombies, everyone...
No. Well, my favourite horror movie of all time is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh,
yes.
I know it.
Schade.
Which one? The original?
No, John Carpenter. Not that awful one that came out.
Or from the original came the remake with Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Yes, no. That just felt like you were watching the same movie over again, didn't it? And we knew what had happened, which seemed ridiculous as well, obviously, because the film ends with the dog escaping.
Yeah, and the dog escaping and the dog
to the helicopter going after it. You just think, I know what's going to happen. So, it's the world's most pointless prequel, that was. But The Thing is great. But I like, bizarrely from the artist of The Walking Dead, I prefer my horror off screen. So I really like films, for instance, like in the horror genre anyway. Some of my favourite horror movies are things like The Innocents, The Haunting from the 60s, a couple of those. Rosemary's Baby is one of the most affecting horror movies ever made. The Shining is just
Which one? The Stephen King?
The
Kubrick. You know, Stephen King is not
he hates the Kubrick Shining.
Yeah.
What does Stephen King know?
What is Stephen King?
Yeah. Well, he's made a rubbish version of The Shining, and The Stand wasn't much good either, was it? You know, his version of that. So that's kind of where I sort of stand with horror movies. I mean, recent ones. There's a couple of recent ones which were I thought were fantastic. I really enjoyed The Babadook. That was
The Babadook, a really intelligent horror.
Very
I
good.
think yes. It's not horror, like more drama.
Well, it was, it was more to do with the mental breakdown of the mother, and whether she's conjuring up the Babadook for real or not. And the ending was just brilliant. I thought the idea of the ending
was good, but the first 20 minutes, the kid, I would.
Oh, you wanted to
everyone wanted the kid.
Absolutely. Well, that was half the reason it worked so well. Because anyone must, and I used to have 2 toddlers as well, or he wasn't a toddler, was he? But anyway. Especially from a parent's point of view, we all so can relate to that mother.
And the father's dead, and
exactly. Yeah. But that was great, and I recently watched again. What else did I see recently? It Follows. I really enjoyed.
Oh,
as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen, but I heard so much.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was fantastic. Just the idea that it's one of those horror movies that just once she's cursed. That's it, you're on that roller coaster and it just does not let up because you're constantly watching behind, or you're constantly watching beyond the characters to see if anything's slowly coming at the hapless heroine. So, I really enjoyed that as well. So,
you're like a little bit geek with the horror genre. I know. You draw The Walking Dead, but you can see the kino, the spotlight, or imitation game,
but I see probably 1% of all horror movies that come out.
Okay.
That I've seen in the last 2 or 3 years. That is, I've seen 3 horror movies in the last 2. Out of how many normally come out? I'm not interested in all the remakes of Friday the 13th, Halloween, or whatever. I've seen the originals; they're fine.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in things like Insidious and all that. I just don't find them particularly exciting. It's those ones like The Babadook, It Follows, where you think, they're doing something different.
Yes, it's a fresh new idea.
Yeah, I watched The Witch recently as well, which was really affecting. I thought that was a very but it's interesting because all the films I'm really enjoying are all kind of
which is like
psychological.
And
to my mind that's where it's like the Rosemary's Baby thing. The horror is off screen. It's that creeping terror I really like. That's proper horror, not walking down a dark corridor and somebody just goes like that. That's just
like Paranormal Activity or something.
The
jump scares
crash bang, silent crash. Exactly.
Yeah,
it's just done. You expect it. You're just bored. It's boring.
Okay, so now we
haven't even got into TV.
we have now 10 minutes. Return to The Walking Dead. Can you tell us a little one of how you ended up as lead artist of The Walking Dead?
The lead up of the only artist. Not lead, the only artist. The artist of The Walking Dead. It's just it's one of the most dull stories. It's just Robert emailed me one day out of the blue and just said,
"Hey, I heard your name, and can you tell?"
Well, Robert and I knew each other a bit beforehand. We met through a mutual friend, another writer, Joe Casey. He knew Robert, and we met. I knew Joe because I'd worked with Joe on a couple of things previous to that. We just met at one San Diego convention. Yeah. He introduced me, we chatted for a bit. I think I met him a couple of other times at various other American cons. And then, he just emailed me out of the blue and said, do you want to work on this little zombie book? I'm doing it, it's called The Walking Dead, and Tony, he's falling behind. He's realised he can't really keep up with the deadlines, so I need someone faster.
That's the whole story.
Yeah, exactly. And that was it. And then 12 years later, here I am.
Okay, was haben wir denn noch?
Ja, die wieder auf der Straße erkannt wird.
Ach so, okay, nehmen wir die. Do people sometimes recognize you on the street? Like Brad Pitt or...
I think...
Oh, George Clooney.
Well, yeah, all the time. I just can't leave the house. It's just... No, because I'm now in disguise,
Yeah.
I've covered my hair up here the last couple of weeks. Yeah. No, definitely no one knows me. It is quite weird, actually, because a couple of people who I know quite well have walked past, when I first cut my hair, have walked past me in the street because they just didn't recognise me.
Yes, that's a you don't know of the...
So yes, I've obviously done this on purpose because I'm fed up of being completely swamped wherever I go.
Okay.
No, of course not. I mean, there might be the rare occasion I might be in a bar or walking down the street or whatever and somebody might come up to me, but I reckon that happens once or twice a year. Actually, the bizarrest one, well, not bizarre, but it happened last time I was in New York for the New York Con, which was a couple of years back now.
Yeah.
I was stopped twice in the street, but it was many blocks away from the con. So it was, New York's not like San Diego, where it feels like the whole city's affected by the convention. New York, as soon as you go a block away from the convention centre, New York swallows that sort of thing up. Manhattan's so large, it once you step away from it, you could be anywhere. So to be stopped twice, many blocks away from the convention was kind of weird, and it was on the same street on two different occasions. So somebody just sort of went, "Ooh," and I was like, so that was kind of weird. But I sometimes you get stopped in the bizarrest of places, and it's always embarrassing for my kids, especially my eldest who's 15. So anything his dad does is embarrassing now. So
finally, can you tell us something about the end of The Walking Dead? Do you and Robert already have certain ideas on how and when the story will end?
No and yes.
No and yes. It's a 50-50%.
Well, no, I can't tell you anything about the ending. But of course we've got an ending. We have an ending.
Yes.
It would be stupid to have a series without an ending. Anyone that's knows they're going to be on a book for its gestation would be foolish just to keep it going. And then suddenly try, a bit like Lost, suddenly think, oh God, we've got to think of an ending. What are we going to do? No, we've got an ending, but we can implement it at any time. So it could be within the next year, it could be within the next 10 years. Who knows?
Is it aliens?
Watch this space.
Is it aliens? Aliens put the zombies on the Earth?
I'll have to change the ending now.
That's too simple.
Alright, the special aliens. No, it's good.
Or is it the pre-era of the human mankind?
Stop it! I'm not going to say a thing.
It's
I'm just going to sit here in silence now.
It's only fan facts. Hast du noch eine Frage?
Meine Frage noch.
Hier.
Du darfst stellen.
Wie, ich noch? Ach so, ja. How do you like the Dragon Days?
No, I enjoy it very much. It's always nice to come to, similar to where I've just been in Lucca actually. It's very nice to do festivals and conventions which aren't just in a big building with lots of people selling stuff on one end and lots of writers and artists and TV stars and whatever all signing at another end, and that's it. It's kind of I do enough of those, and they all sort of meld into one. They don't feel unique. They're just another, it's another building, and I tend to choose those sort of things. I tend to say yes to those things more than who's going to be there at the convention, like friends of mine and things like that. So at least I can enjoy, the evenings or whatever. But no, things like this are great because people try and do different things, and I applaud that. I applaud the invention of stuff like that rather than just. See that table over there? Go and sit at it for 12 hours. And just sign, and that's it. As great as it is to meet the fans, you want to meet them. Yeah, you want to meet. At least you'd like to meet them in a more interesting environment. If you see what I mean. And this is something like Dragon Days or Luca, like I say, where I've just been, is a more interesting way to meet people. And if you're inspired by the festival, you're in just a better frame of mind to enjoy meeting people. So it's great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I thank you very much for the interview. I hope so. It's not the standard questions you're given all the day. Would you find on the walk there? So a little bit smoother.
That's good. That's very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Gut, ansonsten sei gesagt, ballert bitte die Kommentare, das Interview gefallen, das kann wieder ein bisschen was sagen. Lasst uns einen Daumen nach oben und ein Abo, dann sehen wir uns beim nächsten Mal zu Mädels. Auf